All right, thank you. All right, I'd like to go ahead and start the Tuesday, January 2nd, 2018 Warrenton Board of Aldermen meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please rise. Say the Pledge of Allegiance with us. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item would be the consent agenda items.
We have the regular and executive meeting minutes from December the 19th, 2017, and approval to hire Isaac Bartosik as a police officer at $17.23 an hour with a start date of January 3rd, 2018.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Schultz, seconded by Alderman Deloy. Roll call vote.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderman Costello?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. With that, I'll turn it over to Chief Eller.
Good evening, Board and Mayor. I'd like to introduce our two newest police officers, Mr. Isaac Bartosik and Matthew Schmutz.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda would be hearing from the public. If you have anything you'd like to comment on, we ask that you come to the podium, state your name. We'll give you 5 minutes to speak. Not see anybody, we'll move on. Next item would be the Board of Aldermen comments.
Good to see the month of January come. Going to be an exciting new year, and we're ready for it.
I agree with you. Anything else? This will be a quick meeting. Next is the mayor comments, and I'd like to recognize an employee who had a lot of comments on Facebook about, and that would be Elizabeth Fry, with her animal control. Some people really commented about how she went above and beyond on some issues, and really about trying to reunite some of their lost pets with some people, and it was greatly appreciated, and it's snowballed from there, and I think I was up to almost over 50 comments on something I was tagged in, so just of appreciation. So if you could pass it along to her, we appreciate her helping the city look good, and appreciate the work she does.
Absolutely.
Next is the college initiative for Warren County, and I think
Mayor, we need to hold off on that because we're still missing Bart. He was actually in transit. He's coming back from Jeff
okay,
City.
so he did comment and let you guys know?
Yes, he will be here.
Okay.
He just asked if we could hold off.
So I know we have some other people here for representative. We can wait just a little bit. We do have a representative, Foreman, who stated he's on as well. With that, we'll come back to it. Let's go ahead and move on with speaking to Director of Operations and Finance Officer Terry Thorne.
The only thing I have for you this evening is a reminder that every Tuesday of this month we have a meeting. Next Tuesday at 5 p.m. we'll be meeting with MoDOT. So, reminder for your calendar. That's all I have.
What are the following Tuesdays?
You really are going to try to make me remember this, right?
You don't have to have them
Next
in any
Tuesday
order.
is MoDOT. The 16th is board meeting. The 23rd is
The
the downtown meeting with downtown business owners. And then the 30th is the review of the 2015 building code changes.
That's the ones we have the construction.
We've invited them,
contractors
yes.
invite.
And we've invited all the downtown property and business owners for the meeting on the 23rd.
Great. Since we have a little time, do you have any updates on the new overpass?
They had been going really well until the last few days, and my understanding is that until the temperature rises above freezing, they really can't operate their equipment. So I think they're pretty much at a standstill. We have a meeting tomorrow with representatives of Montgomery County Water District and engineers and with the contractors to talk about how we're going to get water connected on the north side and get that started. They're ahead of schedule, and so the hope is that this weather will clear out and allow them to start working. But they're moving quickly and have started the work on the north side as far as moving dirt and that sort of thing.
It actually looks as though if they get the exit and on-ramps poured like they have on the eastbound side, they could probably scoot those barricades out. That's the concern I hear is how narrow it gets, of course. And, they have to do that to have the area to work. But they pretty well relieved that in the eastbound lanes. And they've made great progress. I mean,
They absolutely have. I know that they've been working really diligently to get the South Outer Road opened back up. So that's one of their goals, is to open that up more quickly than the time that they had permitted to do that.
and I know this weather, the weather was so good for so long.
Yeah.
So this is probably a bit of a slowdown. Did you get any predictions on when the South Service Road might reopen?
No. I think they're very hesitant to give out an actual date
Sure.
for fear that they won't hit that. But I do know they're working and trying to be earlier than the original estimate.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one question, going back to the meeting of January 30th with the, when we're reviewing the codes, and I noticed we're inviting contractors that have built the last year or two in Warrenton.
Yes.
Is there any thought given to inviting some of the other ones that, like McBride and some of those that haven't, but have expressed hesitant to build out this way, or is there any thought to inviting some of those to get those involved too?
We've talked about inviting them to a meeting, but since this is to look at changes to our code, they really don't have any experience in our area at this point. We certainly can add some, but I'm not sure where you start and stop that list.
Okay.
We invited everyone who had been issued a building permit here for the last couple of years, so we didn't miss anyone. And we didn't hit and miss and pick certain ones, and so we invited everyone. I don't know where to start and stop that list once we decide to add on others.
Okay.
So, it's not that we can't, it's just we wanted to be fair and invite at least those people who had experience here.
Okay. Sounds good.
Mike, I think to add to that, I think what I'd like to hear is builders that are working in building in similar sized cities to ours, and any concepts or thoughts or changes that they're working under in those cities that maybe we haven't explored.
I know that, that's what I was thinking. In particular, I was thinking like a couple of them, I'm familiar with the ones that are building there on North and South Point Prairie Road. They've got houses going up there so fast, and I thought, and I know Winsville supposedly had just updated their building codes too, and speaking to I was talking to the inspector there one day, and so that's the only thing I was thinking about, is maybe that would be but maybe it's right that we just
One of the things,
start with these and then, try to go.
one of the concepts that someone recently told me about was in the city of Old Fallon, that when a developer or a contractor comes in, he meets in the same meeting with the fire department, the city, the water and sewer district, so they get a package together of the answers that they're looking for, and they know what they're looking at going in. That's one of the things I thought we would perhaps explore in that session, because as Alderman Knock had mentioned at an earlier meeting, some of the time we're looking at situations where the city of Warrenton is, I won't call it blame, but the buck stops there on something that is a fire department regulation or some other entity that's requiring it, but yet it's viewed as being difficult to get along with Warrenton. So I think the more we can at least provide the answers going in, there shouldn't be as many surprises to the builders.
Yeah, I think the concept that Jack and I had at least talked about is the purpose of the meeting on the 30th is really to determine, to help you all understand what the changes are and to get feedback from those people who are here. I think then our ultimate goal would be to have a follow-up meeting once that is put into place, where you invite more of those people and maybe even not just builders, but maybe the real estate professionals, so that you're getting a more rounded view of, now that we have this code, are there other things we can do to make it more customer friendly? So I don't know if you would want to get into both review of what the changes are, along with suggestions for improving how we're rolling it out at the same meeting. It might be a little more than,
Right.
Jack's already concerned that we can go through all these changes in one night.
Sure.
And getting that done, because there is a lot that's different. So I would call this one more an educational, here's what the changes are meeting, and then I think we need to do a follow-up meeting and invite more people who would be interested in that to get more feedback to how to make it better.
There's always Tuesdays in February.
Okay? We've still got, days open, so there you
That
go.
good?
Works for me.
That sounds good.
That's how we're gonna proceed then.
That's a good,
So to springboard off some of that, Terry, did you notice the big heavy equipment that's moved into the area?
There is
where-
big heavy
Yeah, it's kind
equipment
of- kind of
at the
amazing.
Schnuck site.
That's present, like real time, right now.
Yes, really there.
Yeah, it's going down.
last I heard was Schnucks wasn't coming.
That's what I heard too. The rumor I heard was that that's a figment of our imagination.
Which
I believe
time?
It's reality.
It is reality.
Well, I think there's a P and Z meeting Thursday night, and there's just more than the Schnucks property on there.
There
There's
is.
also property over on South 47 by Pittman Funeral Home. There's a huge vacant lot that's been vacant for a long there, so there's a developer and a business owner who's looking at that property, so it's just not one thing.
No, you're right, it isn't. I just
What's going on.
think I was more drawing the fact that the rumors and conjectures around Schnucks never coming.
Oh, okay.
It is more
You're
than
right,
just
though,
a
the point
rumor.
you made, you're right.
At this point.
That's what's that?
It is more than just a rumor.
But there again, thanks for pointing that, because it is true, there is a lot going on with planning and zoning meeting that's going to happen. In fact, I've been approached by a couple people who have never been to a meeting and are interested in going to this one after they kind of heard word of mouth of what's going to be on there. So it may be worth attending.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting.
Tell you what, since we started down this road, give me just one, we're only going to have 2 more people to hear from, so let's head down that and we'll start this.
Okay. I have for you my monthly marketing business report. So the month of December, we had 2 ribbon cuttings. Seen some of your faces at those, the Express Liquors and Hidden Cove, the resale shop over by Orscheln in that area. Both of those had openings this month. And then we have a couple of them that are coming. They should be doing some ribbon cuttings, the Double J Auto Parts and Therapew Wellness. Those are hopefully going to be doing some ribbon cuttings this month, as well as a couple other ones I heard today.
Where's Double J Auto Parts coming? Where are they going to be at?
They are actually buying the auto parts store. What is that?
Dave's Automotive.
Dave's Auto.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Any questions on that? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay, the next thing that I have is the monthly admin report. It's kind of the same old thing that we have as far as our 2 injuries that are on there. We almost made it to the end of the year, but not quite. So I had 2 injuries this last month. One was an employee-only injury, and the other one was actually a car accident, which nobody was injured. It was just car damages.
Still an accident.
So, yeah. We had some trainings this last month. One was for flagger and safety training for our guys that are out there on the streets. And another one was a big exercise for everybody, which was a team building. We had a new trainer come in and that had a great response.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So it was well worth it.
yes, definitely.
So we ended up with 11 tournaments this year. You know how that compares right off the top of your head? It's not a fair question, I realize.
Compared for this coming up year?
Well, coming up year or the prior year?
Well, right now, I can tell you that for 2018, we already have over 20 tournaments booked.
Wow.
And I think last year, didn't we end up with 6 or 7?
The year before, yeah. 6 or
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
The year before that, I think it was almost 16.
Yeah.
That we had. But weather comes into factor.
It's
Oh,
important.
yeah, I realize that.
I think the 6 was because we had that funky weather where the storms were coming in
Yeah.
kind of at odd times. Any other questions? And I obviously do not see Gabrielle Curry here, so
No,
I'm
I'm
sure
filling
you're
in for her. So the first thing on hers is the accounts payable. So we need to get approval for the accounts payable in the amount of $256,961.
Any questions on any of that? I don't know that Brandy can answer fully, but she could probably answer partially.
There's nothing on there for
I
Tri-County.
will entertain a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $256,961.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderman Miller. Roll call vote.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shell Harvey?
Yes.
Alderman Costello?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
The next thing that she has on here is her financial monthly report. And she wanted to let everybody know that the Missouri sales tax did make an additional disbursement in the month of December, which put all the revenues at budget.
Any questions? All right. Thank you.
And I have one reminder also is for if you have any articles you want in the newsletter, we need to get those by the end of January.
And this time we're making it optional.
Yes.
I know you're smiling, but I think we
We are
discussed
making it an
that.
option. You do not have to submit something. But if you want to, we have to have it by the end of January.
All right, thank you. And now we start the college end. So I know we have numerous people, if you would just step forward and state who you are in the microphone and start out the discussion.
I'm Brian Spencer. I work for the people of Wright City, Innsbrook, Numeli, Forestell, and Wentzville.
And I'm Mark Corman, represent the 42nd District, this area and beyond. So we're kind of requested to talk a little bit about the initiative that's going about for tech school, and so we're kind of here to answer any questions, or if you want a background first or whatever.
We had some questions at the last meeting and didn't really have answers, but we did receive a letter dated December 11, 2017, and it was signed by Wayne Baker, President of the Greater Warren County Economic Development Council, and it stated in Wayne's letter that the Greater Warren County Economic Development Council had been tasked to do this study or research. And I asked at that meeting, and I'd ask again if anyone knows, who tasked the Greater Warren County Economic Development Group to take on this project?
So this has been, this topic with a technical school has been in the evolution of 5 years. And 2 years ago, the Speaker of the House recognized that there was a need in this area, in this region, for us to take care of the workforce development in a technical school. So last year, I presented in Troy, Missouri, 5 options that involve secondary and post-secondary for a wide variety of elected officials and different school superintendents and such. We had different examples such as a workman's co-op, a high school apprenticeship program, that kind of stuff. It was decided that Lincoln County would have first bid at this workforce development. and we were able to obtain money in the state budget to get this program going. The problem that we've had was there was no place to send this money. So this year we got it in House Bill 19, and we're hopefully on the state level we're going to continue to work on that. Lincoln County, when we met with St. Charles Community College, Lincoln County superintendents basically said that they would like to work on some of the options that were presented, and I talked to Superintendent Penny from Troy, and he told me about their efforts in moving forward, and they're focusing on Lincoln County, and then they're going to open it up hopefully to the region, which you are included in, for the different high schools here. With the Lincoln County taking care of the secondary, it was left open, the post-secondary options that were presented that day. So I'm the one that called the EDC of Warren County, because I have dealt with several businesses in Lincoln County, Western St. Charles, and Warren County, including Warrenton, that have expressed a need for a skilled type labor in this area. So I tasked them for it, and then they've come up with a commission that is, I believe, 22 people that include the education subdivisions, the elect.
Greater Warren County Economic Development Group came up with that? Or who you're saying came up with this commission?
Well, it was through communications with them, because I talked to them.
Are you saying that that's who set up this commission, is the Greater Warren County Economic Development Group?
Yes.
Okay.
And so it's going to have the school, the education world, the elected world, and the business world. And right now, I believe they have spots for 22 people. And I think this is an important aspect to get a wide variety of Warren County involved in trying to make a decision. First thing they're doing is coming up with a needs assessment. And so you've been presented an opportunity. It's now the people of the different aspects that are going to decide if they want to move forward with this. So they are doing the research, they're talking with their constituents and seeing if it is beneficial or advantageous for us to move forward.
Representative Spencer, I think the I guess, surprise or suspense for this board, and actually even before I was back on the board, is that we read about it in the paper. And I've been doing this long enough that I really respect other elected bodies. So when it came out in the paper almost immediately that it was going to be an effort to move from the East Central College District to St. Charles Community College District, we said we didn't know why. And so we've actually had many more questions than we had answers. And when I say respect other elected bodies, we did have the president of East Central Community College here to speak with us. And he related to us that this would really be an effort by both Warren R2 and Warren R3 school districts to put this on the ballot. And literally, in the case of if they decided to go with St. Charles Community College, it was 22 cents, I believe. And East Central Junior College was 45 cents, if I remember it, in those areas. So, we sat here and we put ballot issues in front of the citizens of the city of Warrenton. But I don't think we should be deciding for the school districts what they believe. I think that's their area of expertise of what educational opportunities we have or that we perhaps need. So as this is going on, we've tried to get additional questions. I've had conversations with Representative Corman, and we seem to be getting answers a little bit at a time, but it seems to me that we might have the cart in front of the horse. That I think the school districts obviously have other financial needs that they also are probably more responsible for than secondary education. So I think this board, or at least this alderman, I want to hear what the school districts have to say, and I'd really rather see the school districts lead this effort, whether you think it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. The business owners that I've talked to, particularly that have factories and need trained staff, are really talking more in the trades and the technical side than they are a community college, what I understand a community college typically does. They're needing welders, painters, electricians, in that sort of training is what I'm hearing. And I think, Terry, you kind of heard the same comment back from some of the businesses. So I just don't want it, we've got a couple school district R3 folks here. I personally don't want it to be that this group of people get together and we're telling the school districts what they need to be proposing. So I'd like to hear more from our school districts, who are the ones that have to vote among their board members to, one, realign that college district, and two, to propose a tax increase to their constituents. So that's where I stand.
All right, so you addressed a lot of different things. Do you want to answer them? Or you want-
Sure, I'll try to keep it short, sweet, simple, to the point. So the thought of having a committee of a lot of different folks to research this, come up with a solution forward, or to come up with a solution not to move forward, I think is a very good approach, because what it does is it gives the information to the school districts to make a decision on what they want to do. And part of that is there's probably going to have to be some local match funds, and that would be matching the tax either with the East Central District or the St. Charles County Community College District. So that's all in that analysis of looking for what's the best solution for Warren County and the tech school situation. For years, and Steve Etcher, when he was with Boonslick, worked with East Central on possibly doing a satellite office up here with the community college, but it's community college based, and there really wasn't that much support for that from the student aspect, because a lot of students went to St. Charles anyway. Okay, but the need, like you just expressed, of businesses looking for more of that technical training is where this kind of comes into play. Is this is kind of like, will have to most likely be under a realm of a community college, but it would be technical based, concentrated here in this region. And that's where, it's not good for Brian or myself to go to the school district and say, hey, you guys need to do this, but we don't have any information for you. It's probably best that a group researches it, analyzes it, said this is our options and this is a recommendation, and then the school districts can basically take it and do what they want with it as far as the funding situation. So, it's kind of trying to create something out of almost nothing, because there is no set governing body here for that region.
No, I mean, that's
where the school
the
districts
issue
will
I
come
see
into
here
play.
is we've got a council that's appointing 22 members that really have no authority whatsoever.
Right, and they're more of a volunteer situation, and that's why I'm assuming the letter asked that if somebody from the city wanted to be on the committee, that they're welcome to. I didn't read the letter, but I'm assuming that's probably.
It does that, Bart, but it also says that they will make recommendations back to the Greater Warren County Economic Development Council, and as I understood it, at least at our last meeting, Alderman Shilharvey reported that the EDC wasn't involved in it anymore. Is that?
To say they're not involved, no, is not correct. They are the guiding, I guess for lack of a better term. Brian felt that this was one organization that had some central, the people that are involved in it are not, they're business people, but they also have They're involved, we have educators on that, the Wright City superintendent is involved in EDC, Warrenton superintendent, the acting superintendent was, and now I understand Dr. Klingensmith's going to be part of it. So this was just a starting point, the easiest one, because there was nothing there. And it is, like Bart said, you're trying to create something out of nothing, and this was an organization that hit the ground running on some other issues. Look at when the tolling issue, they were the ones that kind of spearheaded that. So I think from Brian's standpoint, he saw an organization that could probably put something together to move this, and to keep saying that that this organization is going to make a decision for the school district is not true, because
No, I didn't say they were.
Representative Idle said earlier.
Like I said, I don't want to make a decision for the school district, but I don't want them to think that
they're not, but they're involved in it every step of the way, the superintendents of the school district. So it's not, they're going to be part of they're going to hear what everybody brings to the table.
We're trying to be all-encompassing for everyone and who has an interest in Warren County and the region to participate, to have their voices heard. And right now they're on the exploratory. They're doing the research and they're doing the background and deciding, where are they going to go with this information. So they'll be presenting in front of the school boards who'll be making their own decisions.
So brass tacks, let me just ask you, probably the only group that has the authority to do anything in this committee would be the school district.
They'll have the ultimate authority.
Nobody else can take anything to the ballot. It's going to be the school
Correct.
district.
Right,
Yeah.
and there may be an allowance that if the county wanted to, but it would have to take some kind of government entity, and the best fit is the two school districts.
No, I
And
understand.
I think that's why, when we saw the letter, it would seem like if there's a group, however they're formed, they should be reporting back to the school district, not reporting back to the EDC. That doesn't make any sense.
The group should, and probably will. And the EDC is probably having a technical, educated, trained workforce fits in the EDC's mission statement. And so, they're obviously going to want to help move this forward, but they don't want to be, the one completely in charge, and that's why the committee situation was set up.
So Brian, did I understand you to say that Lincoln County opted to not go this route, but
There was 5 options that were presented, and they chose them.
But one of the options that they did choose is to do some trade school training at the high school level or just after high school?
It would be at the high school. Some of the programs were, a high school level apprenticeship program or a workers' co-op training school. There were several different ways that were presented to the schools, and they decided that the best fit for them was to go the workers' co-ops, the apprenticeship program, and one or the other of the 5. And they are going to establish the pilot program in Lincoln County, and then extend it to Warren County, Montgomery County, Pike County.
Realistically, Bart and I had a little conversation on this, probably a facility further west makes more sense to reach more people, and those in the factory and construction type trades.
Yeah, there's kind of a big hole of community college and situation further west of here. But you also got to have that population base to do it. So it's kind of, and that's where, a site is way down the list of where to go on the steps to moving this thing forward.
I'd like to hear from
Yeah.
school district.
Yeah.
If you would just come to the podium.
Sure. And you get to go,
John, you can come right with her.
I'm Jill Shoei, Assistant Superintendent, Interim Co-Superintendent for the district. Dr. Klingensmith is sick, otherwise he had planned to attend this evening. But we feel this is an opportunity for a group of stakeholders across the entire community. You're getting a section of business people, secondary, higher education folks, as well as K-12 education folks, to come together to do the research and do all the legwork and the groundwork, and then present facts to whomever it is, whether it's the Greater Economic Development Council or some other group that has been commissioned. But I see this as a win-win for us. We currently have almost 75 students that take a bus every day to Four Rivers Tech School in Washington. Our high school principal and I have met with both East Central staff as well as St. Charles Community College. It is our intent, we want juniors and seniors to be able to enroll in college credit courses and graduate, walk across that stage, and not only get a high school diploma, but get their associate's degree as well, and it would be paid for. So any opportunity that we can have college courses, whether it's in the technical trade, which fits along with our community, we're now a greater, the Work Keys program, we're a certified work-ready community. It all ties in together. I feel like it's helping everyone meet their mission. And so, you know, we're looking forward to this and think that we think it's a step in the right direction.
So, does the school district, does Warren R3 have an opinion? Again, these recommendations, at least in the paperwork I've received, talk about the recommendations go back to the Greater Warren County Economic Development Council. Doesn't that not make more sense that it would be reported back to the Warren R3 and Warren R2 boards, since they would, as I understand it, when we have the president of East Central here, that it'll be your boards that have to make those tough decisions, and that you could have Warren R3 board members vote one way and obviously Warren R2 vote another. So, you know, again, I look to the school district to be the expert when it comes to education, whatever that might be in our county, and to make recommendations. And obviously, they would, if it's going to be a tax increase, those are the tough decisions that would be made by the board members.
And I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. Obviously, our school board will have to look at it, and we'll have to see if that's a tax issue that we want to put before the voters. But I guess my understanding of this is a commission of people, of stakeholders across a broader spectrum that will do the fact-finding mission for us and bring all of these facts back together. And then that commission and the Economic Development Council will be making presentations to Warren County R3 and Warren County R2. I did not want to be a part of that group, so I believe that Mr. Klinger and Dr. Klingensmith have positions on that Greater Economic Development Council, and one person can vote. So I know they do have a voting right in the Economic Development Council group. Do you have anything, Mr. Klinger?
Well, just from the board point of view, this is a super opportunity for the kids of our community to offer them opportunities.
They can't hear you.
Okay. I said this is a great opportunity for the kids of our school district to give them opportunities to establish themselves after they graduate high school. And we would be remiss if we did not research it as much as we can to make the best possible decision. Now that decision, we don't know what that decision is, obviously, because we want to base that on solid data, which we try to do at school all the time. We have a lot of data that we look at. So we're really in support of this group, and we want as many people in the community to be a part of it. We want to be transparent about it. We want everybody to come together. We want everybody to be heard so that we have a good basis to make a decision.
And I don't think anybody here disagrees with that. I think our point was, having been through votes and battles with different political entities, you know, if you're ultimately the one responsible, then you should be ultimately the one making the decision and not having a other committee force to feel like you're in a position where you have to make a decision.
Well, I agree with you a little bit on that, but we are the community. I mean, the school is basically the community. It's made up of everybody in the community, and we're elected by everybody in the community. So hopefully, we'll have that information from everybody. And I don't think that, have we done a great job of listening to everybody in the past? Maybe not. You know what I'm saying? Which we're really trying as a board to be more transparent and be more involved in things. But I think the commission and together this data is really important to make this decision. I have no problem if it's what's best for our community to push an initiative that involves tax. I have, and I believe the consensus of the board is to go that direction because we want to do what's best for our students.
And John, so you guys understand at least where I think our board is coming from. We've had a good relationship with the school. And we've had folks that have showed up at meetings in the past that have thought we should require the school district to do certain things. And we said, no, that's not what we're elected to do. We don't have the power to do that. And so that's having not heard from Warren R3. Again, we found out about this by reading the newspaper. And so where I'm at least is I don't want it to be a city of Warrenton decision that is thrown at the school board recommending it one way or the other because I don't feel adequate to have the information to do that. Having said that, what I would like you to know is that the city of Warrenton has a lot of open space, and if that's something that the school board eventually votes to proceed with and put on the ballot, I think we should talk, whoever is sitting in the seats at that time, of location and what your ultimate decision is. But I think we could probably help with that.
Thank you.
John, do you have any thought of any type of time frame on gathering all this information?
That I do not know, because from my understanding, the commission is, do you guys have a time frame on that? Well, I assume that once the group is established, then those kinds of time frames would be established also.
I personally would like to have some type of decision made before the November ballot. However, I've taken a step back, and as well as Randy Peisman and Jeannie Riddle and Bart Corbin, because we're going to focus on the budget aspect and make sure that we can get that money here. But the business owners and the other elected officials in the school districts that I talked to said, we're going to find the information as we find it, and when we're ready to make a decision, we'll make a decision. So I'm fine with that answer, but there is no timeline. It's just that when we get a consensus, we have enough information to make a good recommendation, that's when they're going to make that recommendation.
Representative Spencer, let me ask you a question real quick.
Yes.
Since you have it sounds like you have more of an inside track than most of us do. If R3 was to find out information, say, hey, this seems very beneficial for us, we'd like to proceed with it, but Wright City decided not beneficial for us because we need to go for a tax increase of our own that may interfere with it, what happens then?
It's two hand in hand together, or we'll be back in the same situation we were at without a program. And so I'm hoping and that from the information that I've received that there is a need here. I'm hoping that the people will see the need here. I would like to see our tax dollars stay here with the A+ programs and that kind of stuff, where the kids are going to be able to use that money here, and our tax money stays here instead of traveling. I like the aspect of having more jobs in Warren County. And the fact that when I meet with, like, for example, Bodine Industries in Troy, who have 50 to 75 jobs open year-round because they can't find a trained person to fill that job. When I have the GM plant in my district that has resorted to temporary workers because they cannot find the trained work staff to do the manufacturing. And when you look at the colleges across the state, which I serve on the education committee in Jeff City, when you look at them trying to fulfill the Infinite Campus plan, where they are looking at technology, medical, manufacturing, and trade skills. And, the ECC does a great job. However, their focus for the trade and the manufacturing skills, it's in Rolla. And, St. Charles Community College is looking, they have two. They have their technology program, and then they have their medical program, and they're looking to fill the other two legs of their Infinite Campus. And that's been charged to them by the state to fulfill those four. So
do they have a trade school now at St. Charles Community College?
they are starting some programs. They are going through the process of identifying the needs in the area. Just the same thing that's going over there is going on over here. They have, I think they went through the chamber. They're going through the chamber to set up their commission with, as far as them getting the commission of the school officials and the elected officials and members of the community as well as business owners.
So the answer is that they do not have one now, St. Charles Community College?
They are at the infant stage, but they are not a complete one.
Okay.
They have started some welding programs, as far as certification programs. But, you know, one of the needs that we found out here in Warren County is there's a need for agricultural science. And so that's a big need out here. And, you know, when you talk to the Cattlemen's Association and the corn growers and those, there's a need here. And if you ever, I mean, I've attended the Wright City graduation, and they tell their name and where they're going to next. And, you know, not very many of those kids are going to college. Not very many of them are joining the military. So what are they doing? What are they doing? And the best thing for us is to get them educated in some form of certificate or some type of license so that they can work and fulfill the jobs that are here. I mean, even right here, I've talked to Mr. Carter of Warrenton Steel and his efforts in trying to get a trained welder. So it's very difficult.
Welcome to full employment.
Yeah.
Well, why isn't an option to first make a greater effort to expand the current things that exist? I mean, you've got 75 kids going down to Washington, and I would assume that's problematic. Yeah, it'd be great if they didn't have to ride the bus, but if there's a real need here, and East Central is the college that's in this area, why isn't there a push again to them to see if there really is a need here? Because what their experience was is they didn't stay because nobody was interested.
Well, you're under the assumption that the boundaries were drawn and voted on, and no, there was nothing. In 1990, they drew up boundaries. There was no vote taken. There was no agreement, and so it's just been kind of a assumed type of thing. Right now, most of Warren County is in a vacuum.
But I'm not under any assumption, because other than, as I understand it from the president of East Central, is that there's an understanding that these areas are divided up in this way. He didn't say they were voted on, they were approved or anything, but that's just the understanding between the junior colleges. To me, if a college, if you've already got the infrastructure for a college, a campus, and the teachers, it would seem like an effort, instead of paying more taxes, would be to see if we could generate enough interest here to see if an existing operation could be done, as opposed to creating a whole new school.
Well, from what I understand, that ECC has attempted to do some satellite programs, whether it's English as a second language or some GED program stuff, or I think they tried a welding program with limited success, and it basically deals with promotion, not necessarily needs.
But has anybody gone to them and say, this is the specific things we need, can you make another run at it?
I have gone to them several times throughout this process, because this process for me, I'm on year 5, starting year 6 of my outreach in this category. And, you know, I've reached out to them several times, and I was basically told, no, they weren't interested. They weren't interested until St. Charles Community College decided that they'd possibly be interested. I'm thrilled that ECC is interested now, but they weren't during the process.
Well, they actually put on a welding program at Certainty, they said, when that facility opened. They trained welders.
And they have a great program. And I looked at their program. I traveled down to Rolla to look at their program down in Rolla. It's excellent. It's excellent. The only problem with Warrenton and Wright City and Marthasville and that kind of group, I mean, it's in Rolla.
I think Alderman Shaw made a question.
Just to one of the comments that Brian just made, the group that's working on task with this force, and I'll leave the commission that we have or whatever, they sent a survey to St. Charles Community College, and they sent a same survey so they could kind of gather what our needs were or what the needs were here and everything. They got the response from St. Charles Community College. They got that within a couple weeks. To this date, I still don't think they've gotten it back from ECC. So again, I kind of, I don't know if it's like they don't follow up or what, but that's just kind of what you're saying with, are they not interested in this area anymore?
There's a lot of unanswered questions that I think that'll all come about when we all meet and beat the rugs for the data and stuff like that. Those questions that you've asked are good, but we won't know that stuff.
Well, I
until we
guess
all come
the
together
question,
and
I mean, I
research.
guess the question I'm asking is not pro ECC or pro St. Charles.
Yeah, I like the
Is it, if those institutions have skills and teachers and trainers, are we looking at creating something new? Or are we looking at just creating an outlying program?
That's an excellent question, and I've asked them to define what our needs are, whether that is a satellite campus where they come in with a program for a certain period of time. I know that Lynn Tech, which is now called Missouri Tech, they have offered to help whichever way the needs of the people here will have, whether that is to loan us equipment or that kind of stuff. Or if we have a building and maybe they can come and provide a program and rent the space. I mean, there's a lot of different options and pathways to service the people here in Warren County that we need to define and look at, whether it's a satellite or a permanent campus or something. And that's hopefully what this commission will do, is define all what is needed, and we'll present to the school districts and to the people, and then the people can decide for themselves.
So I think there's some misconceptions that are already out there in the public, and I just want to clear that up while you're here.
Okay.
Number one, I believe it's a misconception, or maybe not a misconception, but the statement's been made that there'll actually have to be 2 votes. Is that correct? One will be changing the taxing district for the colleges, which we've kind of covered.
No. There is no lines that have been done through a vote that requires a vote to change them. That's my understanding at the higher ed. I think there's going to be 2 votes, one being Warren County, or Warrenton and Wright City.
Warren County and Wright City.
And if both of them agree, then we would move forward with the next stage.
Which, and I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse, I just kind of want to get an understanding of it, because like I said, there's already things circulating around. And I think that's why we had this meeting, for clarification. And I believe, there again, so what you're stating, and to the best of your knowledge, I'm not holding you to it, but to the best of your knowledge, there's not a taxing district, because I believe I remember seeing something, that taxes are paid to it, but there's a district within.
There is not a taxing district for a community college in the Warrenton School District or the Wright City School District.
Okay.
There is not one. You are in a vacuum of...
So anyone could come in here?
Correct.
Well, I think what we were told by the president from East Central is that we are not paying a specific tax, but that and you mentioned a while ago, when they divided up the areas, East Central has always had this part of Warren County.
Correct.
And that they, obviously, the districts work together, or have worked together, but we could continue, as he said,
But if you look at
being serviced as we are, or pay a special tax.
But if you look at it right now, St. Charles Community College makes up St. Charles County, Lincoln County, Montgomery County, and Callaway County. It goes all the way around, and if you look at the number of students who are traveling to St. Charles Community College all the way on Mid-River Small Drive, there's a lot more of Warrenton students traveling to St. Charles Community College than they are.
Oh, I believe we have a number of Warren R3 students that continue on to St. Charles Community College. My question was, what we have heard from business and industry here is they're looking at trade schools and industrial arts, and that's why I asked the question, is that a specialty of St. Charles Community College? It sounds like it's...
It was a charge that was given to all the colleges, especially the community colleges, to do Infinite Campus, which were the 4 areas: medical, technology, manufacturing, and skilled trade. I
guess one of my interests would be that it sounds like we have this need for training now. I'd like to ask the representatives from the school district to take a look at whether it makes sense to go and immediately get started, or sooner than later get started with that type of program that sounds like Lincoln County has embraced in the interim, and then especially if this is going to take 2 or 3 years to get started. It sounds like the need's here now.
Oh, the need is here, whether it's secondary or post-secondary. The need is here. And, I just think, higher paid, skilled labor force is something that's important. And if you look at there's a lot of different charts that we get as representatives, whether it's from Missouri Chamber or the NFIB, or they list the top things that will make Missouri business friendly. And almost every one of them in the top 3 is a trained workforce. So if you want to have a healthy community, you need to have a trained workforce.
So let me ask you a question. So most people look at the federal government and they want to know how much of their tax dollars is coming back into the state. So you guys are going to be charged with, if this passes, bringing tax dollars from Jefferson City to Warren County. Could you give us an idea what your thinking is in terms of what kind of dollars we could bring in if there was a local match?
That's a good question. I can't answer you directly on a number, but I do know that right now there is a Perkins grant that both secondary, junior colleges and high schools are available to take advantage of, that deals with trades and skilled labor.
I thought Bob was just going to write us a check from this Jefferson City checking account. Yeah, no problem.
Well, we're both on the budget committee, and we're both going to fight for money to get this thing off the ground. I'd just like to have an entity to send it to.
They're putting some fun. Just understand that. Any other questions you guys have?
No, it's been very enlightening.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Everyone
appreciate it.
Well, I gave you my card. It has my cell phone number on it. Bart and I, and Randy Pikesman as well, and Jeannie Riddle, we've all been working on this for quite some time. We pass the torch on to you all to do your informational work, and hopefully we can make something happen for Warren County.
I not only want to thank both representatives coming and speaking, but I know you guys got busy schedules. But I want to say a couple things about the school board. Number one, I got to go down and be a part of your school board last meeting, and I do appreciate that. You guys are very welcoming. And once again, I'd like to reiterate, if there is any rumors out there, which I don't believe there is, but we have had a good working relationship. In fact, several of your board members have come up and helped out with when we're trying to do overpass, just to be involved and get educated, to take back to the board. I hope we continue to keep molding that together and work together on that, and I look forward to it at least. So by all means, we'd also like to invite you to some of our meetings that we're having, because I know some safety issues with the MoDOT and with the building codes. I know some people on the board voiced interest in that as well because of the growth of the community and what it's going to be like. By all means, we'd like to welcome you. So there again, thank you.
Thanks for coming, appreciate it.
All right, we're at that time of the meeting for adjournment. Well, motion is made by Alderman Costello for adjournment.
Second.
Alderman Schultz, seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That is majority. We are so adjourned.